Welcome in to the latest episode of the Betting the Pitch NFL podcast. As Jazz Chisholm Jr. is hitting balls out of stadiums, I am not having much success. I mean, 6-1 with the Blue Jays to advance, and the Blue Jays plus 151 tonight has really gotten off to a smashing 6-1 start, and then it's now 7-6 Yankees. For one of the biggest jokes in Major League Baseball, who just hit a home run. Of course, that's all he can do, except in the Home Run Derby. Anyway, this is an NFL podcast. I'm here with A_Schnicker. We're going to go through the standalone games. There are a lot of them this week, and we'll see how much time we have left to get into the others. I'm also just dangling a Ravens scarf behind me just because I feel like I'm the Ravens as they've one more win on best bets than I do. A_Schnicker, how are you feeling on this beautiful night?
I feel great. I'm so sorry about what's happening with baseball, but I think we're in a good spot here. Let's get some wins going and turn this thing around.
We'll start on Thursday Night Football with the Philadelphia Eagles, 7.5 point favorites at the New York Giants. Total in this one is 40.5. I know we have some concerns with Jackson Dart's hamstring. This number has climbed from 7 with a total of 42.5. So it's climbed to 7.5 point favorites on Philadelphia, dropped to 40.5 on the total after the Eagles somehow collapsed with a 17, I believe, to 3 lead at home to Denver Broncos this past weekend. Did you take did anything change for you with your feelings on the Eagles as a result of that result?
Not too much. I think the Eagles are still a team to watch in terms of health. Like, going into the season, we talked about Saquon and the amount of touches that he had on his last year. And then, the first week of the season, we talked about Landon Dickerson getting hurt against the Cowboys, and then their run game really changing during that game, even like where Cowboys were able to get some pressure inside. And I think the Eagles are still struggling with some offensive rhythm in that way because of injuries. It's not being, discussed every single day. It's not, they're not on the injury report, but I don't think like they're 100% healthy. And I think it's affecting a lot of that offense. So it's still kind of wait and see, but it's still an elite team. And yeah, like trying to back the Giants in this situation, division game, man, it makes me certainly nervous. Do you have a lean in this one?
Well, I think the Eagles are nowhere near the dominant Super Bowl winning team that thrashed the Chiefs and made the girl who's a Chiefs fan I was watching it with want to turn it off, despite having Chiefs Kingdom like plastered all over the walls around us. And I feel like the Philadelphia Eagles, yeah, you can argue with no Lane Johnson that they've been struggling, but we've kind of seen them kind of stumble around. I mean, no completions in the second half against the Bucks with a really big lead. If not for a Baker Mayfield interception driving to potentially tie the game, they held on for dear life there. You can argue the comeback against the Rams was absolutely obscene. Covering the spread was ridiculous, but I'm trying not to bring up past memories. And I guess the other problem, just in general, is how do you back the Giants here? So
Yeah.
Giants get a big upset win, kill a lot of survivor pools with beating the Chargers at home, and then they go down to New Orleans, who had looked pretty incompetent, maybe competent at the Bills with a nice cover there, but got smoked in Seattle and all these other places as well. Maybe we're competitive so far, but not a lot of people gave them much of a chance. Except I guess the Saints did move to a favorite and closed one against the Giants after opening an underdog, but not a lot of love or belief there. Scatterboo, we'll see what he can do, but ultimately with no neighbors, I think there's a lot of issues with the offense for the Giants. Have just been that way even when Daniel Jones was there, but since Indiana Jones has left, certainly the case. And looks like Jackson Dart might with a banged up hamstring or limited mobile escapability. That just all seems like a pretty bad combo. And I think the last thing I'd like to say before we move on to London is the Giants. I mean, they're like the worst home team in the past decade. So I don't think there's anything to take with just because they're in their own building. I mean, I think Eagles fans will be buying up a bunch of those tickets. I think the Giants fans hate their team at this point. So and wonder why they're there. Slash, I don't really even know. Thursday night, I guess you're probably not getting a lot of corporate sponsored events going out on a Thursday night to the Giants. It's a
Uh,
pretty late evening to get into because
uh,
it's so far from New York though, and depending on where people commute from, I just feel like maybe there's some diehards there, but I don't know that those exist anymore.
yeah, I I don't know either. The Eagles, not surprising when you have the Giants, who are one of the been one of the worst teams of the last what 10 years. Is that fair? 10 years? Has it been 10 years?
I mean, I
Um,
think Eli won a world championship and people were flipping cars my first year in the city. So that would have been 2012, I want to say, or
okay.
maybe 2013. It's been a long time.
I mean, the Eagles have dominated this series. It's at least in the last five. The Eagles are 4-1, 5-1, 6-1, 7-1. Okay, 7-2. They're 7-3 in their last 10, going back to 2020.
All right. Or
Um,
7-1 if you want to
if
schnicker
you want to
that.
make it look better, but we'll just call it. It's nice even around at 10. So yeah, I mean, not a huge surprise there, but the Eagles have dominated. To win by a touchdown in the hook is a little different, but I'm not getting the same vibe that we got talking about the Patriots Bills on Sunday Night Football in this circumstance.
A winner for the podcast. That was a good one. We'll move to Sunday in Tottenham Stadium, and we see the Denver Broncos 7-point favorites to the other New York team, the Jets, the Jetropolitans. Total is 43.5 in this one. Movement had, Broncos are 6-point favorites. Go to Philadelphia, get a comeback, come from behind victory. Jets look like a disaster at home to the Dallas Cowboys. Numbers climb from 6 to 7. Very juice 7 as well, looking like that's heading towards 7.5. And the total has climbed, been all around 43, but it's currently 43.5.
Okay, where do we go with this? The Broncos should have plenty of success uh, slowing down the Jets. I think that defense is starting to come into form. Many people predicted that would be the one of the best defenses in the league. I think it's turning that way. It wasn't at the jump, but it's getting there. Um, the offense is kind of difficult to predict. They definitely gained confidence as the game was going on against Philadelphia, so much so that they're willing to go for two to take the outright lead, go up 18-17.
With a lot of time on the clock, too.
Yeah, right. I you know I really like most of the components about the Broncos, and it's hard to really give a good handicap when the Jets are out there just getting absolutely smashed by the Cowboys, by basically everyone that they're facing. I'm really worried. I'm not worried, but I don't know where Justin Fields is going to see success unless we do see like a backdoor situation,
I think he's
which
winless in his career against teams that have scored 21 points. So, like, that is damning for a
the
Jets defense. To Yes, we're not asking them to win as 7-point underdogs, but
sure.
they need to. I mean, if they're going to win this game, they need to hold Denver to 20 points or less. And so that means if they're going to cover the spread, we need 13 from the Jets for a push, if we're using that math.
Well, I mean, the stats that they've accumulated this year, it's really even you can't really take much from it because it's all been in junk time. Like what Justin Fields is doing is like always when the game is out of reach, when it's like a 3-4 score game, that's when the offense is coming around. So like when the games have been competitive, you know, they have like 100, they're averaging like 100 yards of offense. And so I know that they went overseas super early, which we always talk about is, either you go super late or you go really early. Most of the teams that we've seen so far this year have done the quick turnaround. Obviously, the Vikings were there for several weeks, but they initially went over right before the game. So we'll see if that makes a difference, right? You're going to be is that less distractions, more distractions to be overseas and away from the normal routines? I don't
I
know.
know there's a lot of Justin Fields fans in London, so
Oh yeah, I'm
that might
sure.
really like distract him. And apparently Phil Foden can give him a $3.50, whatever, 350 quid barber or something like that if you really
That's
want a horrible
I thought that
hairstyle.
might be where you're going. That's not nice.
He said it. He said how much they cost. He goes like the same one. I've seen it
Really? He just pays
on a
like $5
on like a
for a haircut?
Champions League interview. Yeah, he said, yeah, I just go to whoever cut my hair in the beginning. It's like, duh, we can tell. So move
That's
to Sunday
like
night football.
that's like Kirk Cousins go to Sport Clips. Have you seen he goes to every sports
You
clip?
like that?
Yeah. Okay. Sorry to
Well,
interrupt.
they probably sponsor him, so he gets his $18 haircut for free, and that nice
Nice.
warm towel wrapped around your face at the end or something like that, which has been around a lot of other men's faces over the times. We'll move to a Sunday night game. This one actually seems like there might be some tastiness to it. The Detroit Lions, 2.5 point underdogs on the road at Kansas City. This one has moved around a little bit. Total in this one is 52.5 at present. I saw a +1 on the Lions with a total of 49 last week. Now it's 2.5 and 52.5. And that was after the Chiefs lose on the road at Jacksonville, from a pretty dominant position, it felt to me. And the Lions keep looking great. Explain the movement here. Why is everyone
Explain the
back in
move.
the
I
Chiefs? From that big
oh
win over the Baltimore Ravens, who are currently 1-5.
yeah, that and I mean I guess like I get it that um Lamar Jackson played for most of that game, which obviously different than what we saw on Sunday. I was pretty impressed with what the Chiefs did at Jacksonville. Playing in the primetime spot, Jacksonville does not get that opportunity very often. I'm sure like that was actually a pretty raucous environment for them.
I mean, that
Um,
crowd was 50%
it's
wearing red.
50, it's 50, you're right. It's 50-50. But like I'd say being in that
And
prime
then the
time
Swifties on
standalone
top of it,
spot.
every time Travis caught a pass, they probably didn't even have any red. They were all wearing the Jaguars gear colors because they thought it was cool and cheering for Travis every time he caught a 7 yard pass.
That being said, I think the Chiefs offense is better than what we've seen in 3 years. And
Okay.
I think it's because Mahomes has shown a willingness to run.
That's
I think
playoff
in
Mahomes. He's
yeah,
so
right.
desperate right now, he's running, and
Which may
It's not even November.
that
It's
may
not
be
even
something that
Columbus Day, though no one celebrates that.
yeah, that's right.
Except for
Something
The Sopranos. The
it's
Sopranos,
something else now. I don't know what it's called.
good episode if you ever seen Sopranos. So.
That's true. Okay. So I like where their offense is going. I think that says a lot that Mahomes is already running. Potentially, he's trying to make up for some shortcomings. Rashee Rice is out for this is his last week out before he is back. Um, I would expect that success to continue. Um, yeah, like when I first saw this matchup, I wanted to be on the Chiefs side. Like I still not sold on what the Lions are, especially away from home. I'm kind of past the narrative of Jared Goff, and outdoors, whatever. He's proven enough to me that he can that's not really a thing anymore. Um, but like when you start running down who the Lions have faced and who they've beaten, uh, that Ray again, they also beat the Ravens in a standalone spot, and everyone thought it was the win of the season. Um,
As like 5 point underdogs versus 3 point favorites, though.
yeah,
At
yep, yep.
Baltimore, a little different than, I mean, this
At
number is
Arrowhead,
so Detroit at Baltimore, 5 point dogs there. So
yeah.
let's say two or three neutral. Chiefs, 2.5, 3 point underdogs at home. Let's say 4 or 5 neutral. So, like, I mean, this number makes no sense to me.
Wait, no, the Chiefs are 2.5 point favorites, right?
They were 2.5 point underdogs at home to Baltimore just 2 short weeks ago.
No, no,
So
no. That game
I'm
was in Baltimore.
no, that game was in Kansas City.
Oh, I was talking about the Lions Ravens. What do you?
No, the Lions went to Baltimore and won on Monday night.
Yeah,
The Ravens went to Kansas City and lost on Sunday as a
yeah,
road favorite. So I'm saying that the Lions were rated, power rated about 2 or 3 points worse than the
gotcha.
Ravens. The Chiefs were rated about, let's say, 4 points worse than 4 or 5 points worse than the Ravens. So now we have the Chiefs about equal, let's say, based on 2.5 home field advantage to the Detroit Lions. The Chiefs are coming off a loss on a short week traveling back home. Detroit's, I mean, I'm sorry, but like Arrowhead is not scary anymore. Patrick Mahomes is terrifying, but I don't remember him throwing 100-yard pick sixes either. And like, yeah, Xavier Worthy looks awesome. He doesn't want to take a single hit on that shoulder and leaves any time he can the field of play to get out of bounds. And man, that Kansas City vaunted Kansas City defense. I mean, Trevor Lawrence made it look really good on Monday night, I thought, and they still lost. Where in the world does a 1 point underdog at the look ahead numbers turn to 2.5 after what the heck we just saw? I Kareem Hunt because he scored two touchdowns at a long run. Is that where this is coming from? Like I had an awesome start to this NFL season. I'm not gonna hide behind the fact that I have been horrible lately, but I've seen some green shoots in my brain, if that makes sense. And this number is silly. I think 3 points. I will grab the Lions as soon as I see a reasonably priced one. If not, I'll probably still buy it to three if it doesn't get there before kickoff. But I think if this closes 1.5, I'm still taking the Lions. I don't care. I think Sunday Night Football, that'll be the real test because to me, I think the Chiefs are not as public of a team as they've been in the past. I feel like the Lions are pretty popular. So this is a good test to see where the public, where the United States or whatever betting markets are influenced by some money from places, where this one goes and where one settles. Do you say it
Hold
goes
on.
to
Are you what's your favorite Lions win? Is it the Ravens, the Browns, the Bears, or the Bengals with Jake Brownie as the quarterback?
uh none of those sound good.
Okay. Let's move on.
Before we move on, I like to play this game. Does this close on a Sunday night at plus
Nice.
three, Lions plus three minus 120? Or does it close Chiefs minus 1.5? If you have to pick one of those two, what do you think is more likely?
Okay, but I if it goes to plus three, I'm gonna be like, dude, let's just ride the wave.
Yeah,
Like
we're gonna ride the wave on the Detroit Leos. That's what we're doing. That's the wave I will be riding. I've seen nothing that makes you think the Chiefs can beat anybody with a pulse by 3 points. I gotta say.
maybe you're right.
Maybe I'm overreacting, overrating the Detroit Lions, who have been smoking the worst Sisters of the Blind schedule possible, as you've mentioned, and looked horrible in their opener at Green Bay, which all of a sudden that loss has gotten way worse. But
Yeah.
I just don't. To me, the Lions murder teams. I'll take the chance that they murder this team, or if it's a close game, they lose by a late field goal. Then, as one A underscore sticker once said, it's like a free movie. You get your money back. You didn't pay for watching Tom Cruise jumping on couches or sliding on a string all the way to the ground and stopping right before he sets the alarm off. You know.
It's entertainment, right? Some people call it a pizza bet. I like the movie
No,
part.
because pizza bet to me is people putting $20 on something that they'd spend on pizza, which seems pretty cheap in this year of our Lord 2025, and
Yeah,
just like
that's
throwing money at it. I am not betting pizzas on the Detroit Lions. I'll be betting a few pizzas. I'll put it that way. And
you're talking about renting out a movie theater type money.
no, no, I'm not. And I'm not talking about Cineopolis. Apparently, this new place that has been standing next to my apartment for 10 years now that I still have not
Yeah.
been to. But apparently, it has like incredible sushi grade like fish in there. And I'm like,
Really?
at an expensive restaurant, like even if this is the most expensive movie theater in the world, like how good can this food actually be?
Well,
I'm
who's saying this to you?
That's the problem. I can't even remember. It
Who's
was
telling you
over it was
this?
over drinks. So like,
Let's verify.
people
If
just start talking stuff,
let's say people can say anything.
They can. And
You
I'm
just
just
believe
and
just
the
whatever
problem
you want to
is
say.
usually I write it down so I know when something sucks. I know who to text or
That's
tweet
like
or Instagram or something, but I don't know.
what did that comment call you? Some like a scam
The most
tout?
beautiful man in history. We're moving to Monday. We have the Buffalo Bills. They are 4 point favorites at the Atlanta Falcons. I think Atlanta's coming off a bye. Total is 49.5 in this one. Buffalo was as big as a 5 point favorite from when I saw it. 50.5 was the initial total, first release. Now they're down to 4 and 49.5. So we've shaved a point based on a home loss in a pretty ugly, if you want to say it, game against the New England Patriots, where we both had the Pats at 7.5 or 8 point underdogs. Wish we had a little money line, but that's not really my style. So anyway,
Yeah.
um, Michael Penix, first up on your card.
Love me some Michael Penix. This is a different feeling though, right? Like um we talked about like the Patriots and their ability to kind of muddy this one up. Um and they did just like that. This was a Vrabel staple type deal. Looking forward, yes, the Falcons are coming off a bye. They looked really good in um, the game leading up to the bye against Washington.
They did.
Finally felt like the offense was. I know that Penix's A dot, his average depth of target, was finally farther downfield. He was having time to throw. They were playing with tempo. They're getting Drake London involved. But I remember looking back to that Commander. They played the Commanders last year, and sometimes it feels like you just watch a team say, okay, that team knows how to beat that defense, that team. And it was a simple, that game was a Sunday night football game, and it was a spectacular game, high flying offenses, and so like it now is like what we saw against Washington. Is that the standard, the expectation, or was it a one off type deal? Otherwise,
They jumped
like
on him
10.
early. Marcus
Yep,
Mariota was the quarterback, so that's something to think of. He
you're
was
right. You're right.
not, I don't think he was bad.
No, he wasn't
And
bad.
I think the Falcons started off real hot, and then it was a big enough lead that got a little hairy at times. But I wonder, I mean, I think Jaden Daniels, it's so hard to compare what he would do in that game versus Mariota. But
Sure,
I
sure.
think, let's say regular NFL quarterback, I think that could have been an up and down. Who knows who wins that game?
Back
But
and
the
forth.
Falcons
Yeah,
played very well.
yeah, they did.
Um, I just don't
What
know
did
how.
you? Well, I just like Buffalo. Is that a one off type deal, or was that like an indictment to you of what?
So I'll finish my take on the Falcons. I have no idea how to predict when they're going to play well. And I think, I mean, they clearly added some pass rushers in the offseason, and that was a problem for them. I don't know necessarily if they really another run that the Blue Jays just hand away to the Yankees. This is driving me insane. I don't know that necessarily. Like, was that the Vikings and JJ McCarthy, or was it the Falcons really improving a defense in Sunday Night Football? I think there's still so much to that I don't understand about the Falcons. Raheem Morris seems like an absolute idiot for most of the time when I hear him, what he says in interviews, what he says in press conferences, all these sort of things. And I just don't think that translates well to being like, oh, yeah, some guy that sounds like an idiot, acts like an idiot, is an idiot. Oh, but he's actually a really good game planner and he made his way through the NFL and the defensive ranks and totally can run a team. That's hard for me to get with. But to answer your question about the Bills, I think the Bills are really flawed. I think excuse me, it was almost like a mixture of Josh McDaniels and Josh Allen. Josh Allen is awesome. He has very little talent around him, I think, because he took too much money. And like Khalil Shakir, great, but he's not going to waltz his way through 15 arm tackles for a touchdown every week, or else my fantasy team's going to actually make the playoffs. From other places, like who on that? I mean, literally, it's run the football, throw to your tight ends 2 inches at a time. To me, that made the Patriots bet. I mean, that looked like it was a sure thing forever. I was of course nervous about it if anyone has any money, whether it's a pizza bet or a buying out a movie theater. Like anytime you're up against Josh Allen, you're concerned. But they really struggled with the Saints. They lost straight up at home to the Patriots, who have had some of the widest range of outcomes of any teams in the NFL so far this season, a lot because of turnovers. But I think that speaks to that they didn't really force many. And Michael Penix has been one of my least favorite quarterbacks, slash someone I've wanted to bet against literally ever since that disaster in the national championship against Michigan after he had the best game of his life against our beloved Texas Longhorns. LOL at that school as well. But to me, it's Falcons or nothing as a home underdog, and no one should be surprised. Like anyone listening to me on podcasts for 6 or so years that I've been doing this, is it enough for me to actually play it though? Is it enough for you to play it? Because there's
No.
a lot. I mean, what could be worse? Excuse me. What could be better than a bye week on a Monday night home game You literally have as many days as possible from Raheem the Dream to literally draw up the most intelligent, most difficult defensive strategy, strategic whatever thing possible out there for Josh Allen and his island of misfit toys next to him.
That's like, yeah, this is just one of those. Nope, not gonna play this game because definitely not aligning myself on Buffalo with all the factors that you just laid out. But like sometimes it's like these are too obvious in the handicapping department. It's like, oh, the bye, oh, an extra game, oh, it's prime time. Um, and sometimes we can get too cute with those ideas rather than just looking at the quality of the team and, like you said, mentioning the coaching and the advantages there. So yeah, I'm not going to be sitting there with a public side on the Bills, but I'm not. I don't want to play this dance against a team that is better coached.
We've seen this
Like
number drop, so I'm curious how far,
yeah,
if it continues to drop or if it goes back up. I would think, like you mentioned, the Bills, Josh Allen, their success, that they're probably getting a fair amount of respect coming up. But
I would assume it's going to stay. It may. I don't think it's going to drop anymore. I think we're
because
going to like
dropping would take a lot more than climbing, I think,
yeah,
based on where the money is. So now we'll
yeah,
go to
you're
the
right.
last Monday Night Football game. For some reason, we have two. I still don't really know why. The Bears, 4.5 point underdogs at the Washington Commanders. Total is 50 in this one. So when I was seeing this number, it was 4.5 and 50 last week when I first saw a number open. Then it was taken down because I don't think anybody was sure who was going to quarterback the Commanders last weekend. Jaden Daniels looked pretty good, gotta say. Even had some second half little scramble plays, which I wasn't really expecting or sure that he would do. So I bumped my number up quite a bit. I initially thought 5.5. I put it over a touchdown, and we're still at the same number where we were. So either everyone at Bet Online knew that Jaden Daniels will be back for this game, looked good this past weekend, and the number has not adjusted. So explain that to me.
uh, I don't know. I think I have a pretty good feeling of what the Bears are going to be. Um,
What are the Bears going to be?
uh, I think I have a pretty good read of what Caleb Williams is at this point. And that is a decent quarterback when the team he's facing cannot get a pass rush. Um, like, yes, they beat the Raiders. Max Crosby was all over him. And so it kind of maybe pokes a small hole in that theory already. It doesn't
And
really.
they
Like
were
he was
they were gifted multiple
exactly
three
like
picks, all in plus territory.
um and so what I want to do is because I'm a big Ben Johnson guy. I actually think Caleb Williams will improve. Um, just like we saw with Jared Goff, as long as he can play within the system and not try to improvise too much, it'll be really, really good. But we're still only 5 games into this deal. They had a bye. Ben Johnson's comments leading into that bye were pretty telling about where he felt like the offense was. His initial comments during the offseason talking about how early the bye was, he was excited. And then his comments leading into the bye were a little different about just trying to get back to the fundamentals, getting his guys all on the same page. Felt like they weren't as advanced as he thought they might be. Um,
Hmm.
so I still think their offense is struggling, and I think Washington with a pretty good defensive line and guys that can rush the passer at different levels. I think like in a variety of guys. I think it's different when you just have one pass rusher like Max Crosby who's really getting after it versus you don't know where the pressure's coming from. I think this is a struggle game for Caleb Williams, and I think we're probably going to get a good price or this is a good opportunity after what he did in the last 2 games. They're coming off their bye. The Ben Johnson, I think he's a pretty public darling just because of what he did with the Lions as well.
Gosh, I don't know. I don't know if I could see that. I mean, yes, he was awesome to the Lions, and I think there are some expectations for him coming to Chicago. I don't know that anyone that has watched the Bears or has followed along with their results this season is like, oh yeah, they've totally figured it out. Caleb Williams is totally a competent quarterback. This number seems tiny. I'm not. I mean, I guess it
Tiny.
was what it was. This number feels very. Do you remember where the Commanders went last year? They
No.
went all the way to the NFC Championship, got smoked there, but seemingly so Philadelphia killed everybody. And whew, I just like I'm not really. 3 is usually a lot for me to lay. I'll do 7 sometimes if I think it's an absolute murder scene. But I don't really think the Bears compete. And yes, similar, we just talked about the bye really helping Atlanta. It probably helps Chicago to be healthier, but I don't think it makes their quarterback competent all of a sudden. So let's try to get to our sixth game, and maybe we can fit in one more before we get to our best bets. Andrew Schnicker, where would you like to go on this Sunday, October
Hmm.
12th, 2025 card?
Okay. Well, let's let's do the Seahawks and Jags.
Seahawks 1 point underdog right now on the road at Jacksonville. Early start totals 46 and a half in that one. And this number opened to pick 'em initially, then opened to pick 'em again with a half point ticked on to the total. 44 and a half became 45. Now it's up to 46 and a half. So we've had some steady betting of the over. I think a lot based on Seattle being unable to stop Tampa Bay last weekend in a home loss where Darnold looked good, but then also had a pretty bad interception that cost the game, basically, as the Yankees collide. Of course, the ball doesn't drop. Um, and I feel like the Jags are still so turnover reliant. That will not last forever. I hope they keep running the table, win every game, and then they become a really big favorite in the playoffs, and we find a way to bet against them with literally any team they play against. Um, I think Seattle's defense is good. I don't think being unable to stop Baker Mayfield says anything really. And I think Trevor Lawrence is a terrible quarterback. And it's amazing Sunshine is still struggling as much as he is after this long in the NFL. Your thoughts?
So I'm concerned what I saw from Seattle.
Okay.
Yes, we talked about with Baker Mayfield. He's he's awesome, and just impressed with what no matter what he's been dealt with transitioning wise, coaching changes, those kinds of things. Like what he's doing is pretty impressive. Um, I Seattle came into the that game with like the best secondary, the really strong defensive line, um, and like yes, there were some injuries. I think we probably this is one we want to monitor with injury report. Seattle lost some of their best secondary players, which maybe made a difference. But that's what I want to look at with this. Like we've talked about like the Colts before this year, teams that get on a run that you're like, okay, probably not the quality that we're expecting, but they're overperforming compared to the market. I'm wondering if the Jags are going to be one of those teams. Basically, we're in lockstep on that, like that they're not a good team, and that Trevor Lawrence has an abundance of flaws that he has not improved on. I'm just sometimes I think they catch this momentum, and I think this is a good opportunity for them. Seattle coming from the Pacific Northwest into a humid, nasty Florida. No matter what time of year it is, it's muggy, it's gross. Um, I think that it's a pretty sweet spot for the Jags, even with their flaws.
One more day to prepare for Seattle, and
Yeah,
Jacksonville's now a +8 in the turnover margin instead of +9 as they entered after just 4 games into week 5. So I'm I'm not a believer in Jacksonville. I do think there's some things pointing in the right direction for them. The heat certainly helps as well, and that's something Seattle won't be used to, I don't think, because Seattle's pretty nice during the summer, but certainly not as hot or humid or anything as that'll be. One last game I want you to touch on before we get out of here, and then we'll go straight to best bets. Tell me about the 49ers 3 point underdogs on the road at
mm-hmm.
Tampa. Totals 47 and a half. This one was as high as 6 before a upset win for the Niners at Los Angeles, and that's wrong. I don't have that actually down. So I think I thought I had that. I did not have that. So scratch that. Open 2.5. Now it's up to 3. Very juice 3 at the moment.
Yep.
Do you think that's too cheap for Baker Mayfield at home?
This line is saying that Brock Purdy's going to play, that he's probably going to have at least
I
one
mean,
of his
Mac
two.
Jones has been great.
He's been really good. Yeah,
I
I
think
don't
better
know
than Brock Purdy.
if this was in one of our chats of like system QB and what Shanahan's able to do. Um, I mean, I kind of could see that, but like I don't think Brock Purdy actually gets the credit that he deserves in some of those in the previous years. But yeah, this line it still is saying that Brock Purdy's going to play. Man, maybe not. Maybe not. Because actually, I mean, like I have Tampa right below Philly. I have like Tampa and the Rams pretty close to even there, just a slight step below the
Well, then we've
Eagles.
adjusted significantly based on Thursday Night Football of last week. Yes, a lot longer to
Yeah,
prepare
yeah,
and a late game, so that's
yep.
helpful.
I, but I'm not going against the Bucks until they give me a reason to. You
I think
know what I mean?
they're a team I want to ride a long time. So if you're not subscribed to the podcast, please do so at the real underscore G Warner on YouTube or 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify under betting the pitch would be really helpful. You can also hit us up on Instagram at the real underscore G Warner where I post our best bet videos. It's now time for that. Of course, if you want to check out all my plays across all sports, patreon.com/real underscore G Warner. But Andrew Schritzinger, where would you like to go for your best bet on this Sunday, October 12th portion of the episode? Or I guess you could do Thursday or Monday, whatever you think.
Yeah, we have so many different options. Okay. Well, I would make a play. I would have something on Thursday, but I'm gonna stick away. I'm gonna stay away from it. Uh, okay. We are gonna go to Miami for a noon kickoff. The Dolphins against the Chargers. We're gonna go under 43 for the full game.
Okay.
Um, I think this is Chargers going across the country for an early start. This is again another one of those weather Florida humid games. The Chargers have become the Chargers again with injuries across the offensive line. Obviously, the running backs are down. Um, I I think you're going to see a pretty conservative game plan from the Chargers in this one. I think that the Dolphins are still trying to figure out what they are after the Tyreek Hill injury, and just really some struggles there. So I like a sleepy, slow game. Let's go under 43. And I also like first half, but since we're doing this on Tuesday night, we'll go full game.
Okay, under 43 in the Chargers visiting Miami Dolphins matchup, which should be a slower paced game according to Jim Harbaugh. So I'm going to reveal my best bet. I've decided to bring in some props, and here we are, baby. It's time. The Tennessee Titans Football Club. They're on the road at the Las Vegas Raiders. Are there real fans in Las Vegas? Nope. They only care about the Knights, and that's only if they're Cowboys and Longhorns aren't winning. So let's go. Tennessee Titans, 4.5 point underdogs. It's time to bust out of the slump. Incredible win last week. Who knows? Maybe someone will kick a fumble off for an interception into the end zone. It'll get recovered for a touchdown. This number is way too large, considering the corpse of Geno Smith that is out there throwing passes. And since we're about to run out of time, I will talk to you all really soon. But Titans plus 4.5, under 43 Chargers at Dolphins. And we will see you next time on the Betting Pitch NFL edition.